everyone. Another book club with women on the move, and we are going to discuss a Western genre tonight. And we'll first start with introductions. I'm Cindy.
I'm Angie.
I'm Harriet.
I'm Linda, and I'm going to introduce Odella.
I'm Sam.
I'm Vivian.
And I'm Zadie.
And guess what? The last person who introduced herself is our host for tonight. So, Zadie, you have the floor.
Thank you, and good evening. Okay, our book tonight is North of Laramie, and the authors are William W. Johnstone and J.A. Johnstone. And a little bit about the authors. William W. Johnstone was born in southern Missouri, and he was raised with a strong moral and family values by his minister father and tutored by his school teacher mother. He left school at 15 to work in a carnival. That was interesting. And then he was a deputy sheriff before serving in the Army. He went on to become known as the greatest Western writer in the 21st century. J.A. Johnstone was his nephew, and his uncle taught him how to write. And he began tutoring J.A. at an early age, and after school hours, when they often spent time retyping manuscripts and doing the research for his American Western history in the libraries, as well as more modern war and conflict books. J.A. Johnstone worked hard and learned later to go on to become a co-author with William, and they made many best-selling westerns and thrillers on there. And J.A. Johnstone lived on a ranch in Tennessee. And then now on our book, on there, North of Laramie, the story starts in Wichita, Kansas in the 1876. And the main character is Buck Trammel. And Buck Trammel is a series of books on there. So I think this is the second book in the series. And he having to leave the city in a hurry with a drunk gambler in tow. This book is full of mayhem, shootouts, damsels in distress, friendships, and it's Buck Trammel was a Pinkerton agent with a promising career, but after a tragic accident in one of his cases that went wrong, he struck out for the wide open spaces of Wichita, Kansas. Working as a bouncer at the Gilded Lily Saloon, he hoped to stay out of trouble. But soon enough, his gun skills are put to the test. The Bowman gang shows up, turning a friendly card game with a Wyoming cattleman, which is the drunk, into a killer-take-all shooting match. Buck saves the cattleman's life, but at the cost of the Bowman's two sons. That's when Deputy Wyatt Earth arrives. He warns Buck that he'd better get out of town pronto and take the cattleman, the drunk, with him. And the rest of the story is history if he lives long enough to tell the story on there. So that's just a little bit about the story. And my first question is, who was your favorite character?
Buck.
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 I like Hawkeye, the deputy.
Yes.
The young,
Yeah,
the
the
young
young
Yeah.
deputy.
deputy.
Mhm.
Yes, he was good also. Oh, yeah. And what character did you find most complex?
Found Adam very complex. You couldn't
Yes.
hardly figure
Yes.
him sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
when you thought you had him figured, he'd flip the switch on you and he was
Yes.
something else and he flipped back. So he's very
Mhm.
complex.
right,
Also,
right.
Adam's father. Adam's father
Mhm.
Yes.
came off like a real hard person, but he had a plan all along as to what he was going to do. And it seems like he had done his homework on Buck.
Mhm.
And with Adam initially, when Buck and Adam got together and then they were leaving town together, it's like helping each other. You didn't know, and Buck wasn't sure for quite a while if he could really trust Adam. And that went
Right.
on for a
Mhm.
while. Is Adam really trustworthy? Is he a scoundrel?
Mhm.
I thought Buck was an interesting character himself because, he always kind of said that he wasn't very smart, but he took, he did make good decisions. Um, I was just astounded with it seemed like there was shootings every other page. There was so much
Yes.
shooting. I thought, are that many people dying in the Old West?
It
Nobody's like,
reminded me of the old series Gunsmoke.
Uh-huh.
mm,
Every
Yes,
Mhm.
it did.
series had some shooting in it on there. And what did you think about Wyatt Earp being the sheriff of that town, deputy sheriff?
I thought that was pretty cool because I've always liked that Wyatt Earp character, from um, what was that one movie with him and the shootout?
at the OK Corral.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, shootout
yeah,
at the OK Corral. So I was
yeah,
kind of surprised because I thought he stayed in Dodge City or Deadwood or wherever he was.
right,
I know. I
right.
thought that was quite interesting that he was in this book. I was like, "Oh, we know who
Yes.
Mhm.
Wyatt Earp is." Yes,
Yeah.
that's a
Mhm.
name that we know.
Right.
Right.
And when I was picturing Buck, I don't know why John Wayne came to mind.
Mm.
Because John Wayne was that type of a character in the movies that he played in. He was always,
Mhm.
big and
Mm.
and
John Wayne
harsh.
was
And
short. He was a
no,
short
John
guy.
Wayne was 6'4", I think.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
He
six
was
four and a
tall.
half.
Uh-huh.
I happened to look that up today because I was
I
Did
watching
did.
you?
the John Wayne
I thought
Right.
he
movie
was
and looking at
short.
this,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
and I didn't know John Wayne had played football at USC
Yes, he
Oh.
and
did.
hurt his shoulder, uh, broke his collarbone, I think, and that ended his football career. But yeah, he
Mm.
was quite big.
Uh-huh.
When I think of Buck, I think of three of my favorite Western TV heroes. He was Matt Dillon, he was Lucas McCain, and he was Hoss Cartwright, all rolled up in one.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you know who I also thought about was, and I don't know the actor's name, but the person who played Paladin,
Oh, have gun will travel.
Have Gun
Yeah.
Will Travel.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so he kind of came to mind. I kind of had him in all black for some reason and just being really cool and you couldn't really figure him out.
Right.
Now, Adam
Mhm.
could have been the Maverick, what
Yeah.
Bart
Oh,
and Brett
Uh-huh.
Mavericks, because he
Uh-huh.
was tricky.
I thought the
yeah.
inclusion of Wyatt Earp was just kind of to anchor the book in something. I mean,
Yeah.
that was their
Mhm.
research and kind of to anchor it like what was really going on. And it also gave Buck Trammel some credibility because Wyatt Earp thought he was a decent person.
Gave him street cred.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that he was skilled in his craft of shooting and punching.
Wasn't the Pinkerton agency a character in another book we read?
I don't
I can't
recall.
remember.
But you
It
know what?
was, I think, the book
Harriet,
that
maybe it
Vivian,
sounds something, Vivian. Go ahead, Harriet.
I think the book that Vivian introduced us to. I think the guy that came from the East, he worked for the Pinkerton Agency.
I know because in
I don't remember.
Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, they keep
Mhm.
running up against that guy from the Pinkerton Agency who's riding the trains.
Yeah,
The
but
movie
this
was
guy in my book, the name of the book was The Accidental Guardian,
Yes,
and he was kind of like on his own. I
right.
recall him working for Pinkerton.
Yeah.
Well, it was a character in somebody's book because I remember he I think it was the one where the family was massacred as part of a wagon train.
That's the accidental guardian.
That's
That's
the
Yeah,
the
that's
accidental
the Accidental
guardian.
Yeah,
Guardian.
But
but
I don't
really,
remember a Pinkerton in it.
Me either.
he worked for the
The guy,
Pinkerton Agency.
oh, I don't remember that.
I
But
don't
my
remember that.
uncle was in this service. You know, he was in the army, but I don't remember a Pinkerton guy on there. But in this story with Buck, it always seems like they have to make a getaway, you know, all the time. They always got into some kind of trouble, and he was trying to stay out of trouble on
Hmm.
there. And he worked for what was that? He worked for, I want to say Miss Kitty, but that's Gunsmoke.
Miss Lily.
On there,
Lily.
Lily,
It's
there's a
Lily.
Yeah.
Lily Gill,
Yeah.
yeah, on there. And he liked Lily. He wanted to
Mhm.
stay there, but trouble found him again, and they had to take off. And Adam, as being a drunkard, when they start off on there, um, he kind of saves his life though out in the wilderness. What did you think about that, and how Adam knew what to do?
I
Exactly.
was
Adam was
surprised.
a smart guy. He was
Yeah.
very
Uh-huh.
savvy. And even though
Hmm.
he was a drunk gambler, he had life skills.
Exactly.
And
Hmm.
Buck would not have, I can't say that Buck wouldn't have survived, but Buck wouldn't have done as well in getting away without Adam because Adam knew the lay of the land. He knew people, he was well connected. So that was a good partnership
Hmm.
Right.
for
Yeah,
Buck.
And
I
then,
don't know. That Adam, he was a survivor, and I think he'd have sold you down the river as if he needed to. You
I
know, he
agree.
didn't have a whole lot of character, personal character, but he did have a lot of survival skills.
Correct.
Well, he was in the military. Didn't he go to West Point or
Yes.
He
someplace,
went to
I
West
believe?
yeah,
Point, and
Hmm.
he was a
Yes.
yes.
captain, and
And he had served in the military and did one of the Indian Wars. Was it? I can't remember which one. So he was an officer. So he had a lot of skills, plus growing up on the ranch. And his
Yes.
mother was very
Hmm.
instrumental in making sure that he was well balanced.
educated.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
educated.
He was
Yeah.
educated. Plus, he came from a family of means. I mean,
Yes.
this is a young
Hmm.
man who back then they would have been considered wealthy.
That's
Right.
right. He
Oh, we're
was.
wealthy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then the Bowman, uh, I'm going to call them gang. I guess it was the Bowman brothers.
Hmm.
Uh, what did you think about them going after him and
They were
what
your
happened to them?
typical villains. I mean, that's
Correct.
all they knew
Hmm.
was to kill and cheat and get drunk and act ugly.
Right.
Exactly. And avenge a murder.
They
Mhm.
were kind of like
And
vigilantes.
Yeah. He's
Yes.
avenging a
yeah,
murder and an eye.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, the
You know, it's,
left eye or
Mhm.
lefty, is that what they called him?
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was funny to not funny, but how the Bowman, when the two cousins got killed and the older cousin was going after his father said, "You shouldn't go. Don't go." And he's like, "No, I gotta
Right.
go. We can't have somebody killing um our
Our ki-
family and not do something." And the dad said, "Well, they got what they deserved. You knew what they were like. And but don't go out there trying to avenge them." And he went out there and didn't last.
Yeah,
right.
to me, the Bowman family seemed like that was a family that the generation, the younger generation was overindulged and they did whatever they wanted to do. And
Mhm.
I don't know if it sounded like the older, I don't know if the grandfather or father or whatever, who he was, he sounded to be like, well, he was a guy who made his way and made things happen. And the younger guys, though, were living off the fat of the land with dad's money and thought themselves to be more able than they were.
Correct.
Well,
Mhm.
another
And
thing,
they're
his son tried to prove himself worthy of being something in his dad's eye because he looked up to his dad, but he was ignorant. I mean, he was green behind the ears because when he went out there and told those guys he had the money, that was the
Mhm.
stupidest thing he could have done.
yeah.
That ended his life. I mean, he wanted so much to prove to his dad that he could be something, and he was too green behind the ears.
And I think the dad, he had seen a lot of killing in his family.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
he
Mhm.
said he didn't want anybody else to die
Mm,
on there. But the younger bunch couldn't understand that. "Oh, we have to avenge our family, But the dad, he finally, he had a lot of sense and told them, you don't have to do that. But they didn't want to listen. And like you said, when he told them he had money, they got the money, killed him off and got the money on there. And then uh, Buck and Adam came upon the wagon train out there, the
Mhm.
ladies on there. And
The third book
they
we had that had a wagon train get
exactly
taken
Mhm.
over to look like Indians
the
did it, but
Indians.
not, but
Right.
it
Right.
wasn't. It was
So
rogue.
I wonder if a lot of that happened back then because they just try to blame it on the Indians all the
correct.
time,
Mhm.
and it was actually the bad guys doing it
Correct.
Mhm.
on there. And then they um, rescued the ladies and took them into the nearest town on there, and everybody was supposed to lay low, but Adam couldn't lay low.
No, he always had to go gamble and drink. He couldn't help himself. He was addicted.
Yes, yes,
He had to
yes.
parade him through town. He had to be the hero.
Right.
Yes.
Everybody.
And tell three different names to the news reporters. He couldn't remember which name.
Right.
Oh, yes, but he was smart though. Buck wanted to go one way, and he said, "No, that's exactly where they would go. We need to get on this train and go." So,
Mhm.
um,
And that
I
could
think.
be have been because of his military training too.
yeah.
Some of that, I think, was his military training that he'd had.
Mm-hmm.
He knew, don't go the expected way, do something different.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways they kind of balanced each other to keep each other alive.
They
hmm
did.
They did. They did. But trouble followed him on the train.
I'm
On
part
there,
of,
the gambling
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
on there.
And Buck knew that Adam was going to get himself into trouble because that's why
Mhm.
he made the deal with the
Conductor.
coach guy,
Mhm.
the conductor.
The conductor, yes.
Yeah, he knew
Yeah.
what to expect.
Yeah, don't come get me if my friend gets in trouble. And he got in trouble
Hmm.
on there. And then the guy that Buck hit was a Pinkerton man
Yeah,
Mhm.
on there. So that kind of came back around, but he knew who Buck was. I guess
Correct.
that's right.
his
Mhm.
story had got out on there. So they ended up having to get off the train.
But
Mhm.
that let me know too that Buck had a reputation.
He
Yes.
He
did.
I
was
was
a
just gonna-
Pinkerton guy. He
But I
had
think,
a reputation of being tough.
Hmm.
and big. He was big. He
Big,
was
he
Yes.
said.
strong, and so he stuck in
Mhm.
people's minds.
But
Hmm.
I also think Buck had some anger issues because it didn't take much to anger him. And so,
Exactly.
Right.
and he realized what his issues were. And
Hmm.
he realized that, look, if somebody says something or does something out of line, I know I'm going to get angry. and I
Right.
just can't help myself. So
Right.
he was at least self-aware.
And
Yeah.
I think
I
he was
thought,
trying to keep himself out of that.
yes,
You know, he was trying
exactly.
to find a spot where he could just live, but it never worked out that way.
Yeah.
And let's see.
But you know what? I'm really happy that he found, I think his name was Hawkeye,
The
Hmm.
the guy
deputy.
that
His
he made a
deputy.
deputy. Because, you know, think about it. Here he was placed in this town. He's the only legal person there to keep things in order, and everything happens as soon as he comes to town. So he
Hmm.
needed help, somebody that he could trust.
And
Right.
Hawkeye was like the one person in the whole town who didn't seem to have another agenda going on. And
Exactly.
partly
Hmm.
Right.
because he was a kid. He was,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he hadn't got
Mhm.
corrupted yet.
Yeah.
Or that wasn't owned by that lady,
Mrs.
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 Peachtree.
Miss
Yeah.
Tree, Peachtree.
Peachtree.
Yeah.
She
Peachtree.
Or
was a hot potato
Oh,
mess.
yes, she was.
what was her real name though? Oh gosh.
Pinochet.
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 Yeah,
Pinochet. Yeah.
Pinochet. Yes, on there, and everybody called her Peachtree on there. But when Buck and Adam got to his family's ranch, how did you like the father? How did you like the greeting that the father gave?
Yeah.
You know, he was so disrespectful to his son, you know, and he didn't care how he belittled him in front of his company. I thought that
Right.
was terrible.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, and you know the guy that was like his right hand, I didn't write his
Mhm.
name down in my book,
Right.
but he told him kind of, oh, that was a good greeting. He was happy to see you the way he
Mm-hmm.
did because he
Mm-hmm.
could have shot you, both of you.
But
Yes.
I think the father was somewhat disappointed. Well, not disappointed, but he judged Buck by the company he kept. And
Yes.
he
With
kind of
his
thought,
son.
well, if you're keeping company with my son, and I know how my son is, you couldn't be any good because he's a
But
gambler and he's a drunkard.
he
Right.
Mhm.
already, I mean,
He'd
I think
already
he already
investigated.
had it in his mind to send them to that town and for Buck to become sheriff.
Oh,
I think
yes,
that
I
was
think so.
already
I agree.
planned.
Mhm.
I think
Well, I
more
th
because he wanted to get rid of the old sheriff and he saw this
right.
big guy come in. I thought he didn't, I thought some of his angst against his son was probably rooted in the fact that his mother really loved him and
Yes.
Right.
he kind
Right.
of doted on him and he
Hmm.
Yes.
thought he was too soft.
Hmm.
And so there was no prodigal son homecoming there. Boy, that father,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he seemed like he would have been happy if he never saw his son again. It was
But I,
kind of a strange, it was kind of a strange scene.
But he was impressed once Buck told him how the
right,
son saved his
Hmm.
life
exactly.
and how the
Hmm.
Saved the
son
women.
helped
He
kill
didn't
all of
expect it.
those guys that
And the
were
women.
Yeah,
circling the wagon train.
he didn't
There
Right.
was
expect
some
that.
place in the book where I thought I had read that the father, if well, Adam knew that if anything happened to him, the father was going to try to avenge it in some way. It wasn't going to go well
Yeah,
for
Hmm.
like
whoever.
my father might
So,
hate me, but he's not going to let
yes,
me just get killed by you.
yes,
Right.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I thought
And
it
I
was interesting.
go,
A point in the book when when Buck and Adam were setting the ground rules of how they were going to get along, and Adam, here is Buck, big, strong, and he went up to him. He says, "Are any other demands you got of me? You keep this friendship or this little partnership going?" And he said, "Yeah, never touch me again. If you do, I'll kill you." And to me, it was never explained why. And so I just say, well, something happened with him and his dad. It made his dad beat him or something when he was a kid.
Hmm.
They never went back to explain that sentence. Never touch me again. If you do, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
maybe had we read the first book, we would have known more about it
Right.
because they gave a little glimpse of his growing up in New York and that
Right.
he didn't have a real, he had a,
No, this was Adam saying this to
Adam.
Buck.
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah.
And I think the
So,
father liked to control everybody,
mhm.
and
Hmm.
Buck just left, and so he couldn't control him. And
Right.
the sister, he controlled his daughter, the father of the daughter couldn't do
Mhm.
anything, but stay there at the ranch. She couldn't go anywhere. She couldn't do anything. So
I
I
And
kind
think
you,
of thought that Buck and the daughter were going to get together, but it
Me
seems like he
too.
got together with the doctor.
doctor, yes.
mhm.
So far, we haven't read the rest of the series,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
so
Mhm.
far it seems like he's with the doctor and
yeah.
not the daughter.
Right.
Right.
And you
But
But
the
to me,
notice
doctor
too.
helped that along. She kind of went
Oh
after
yeah,
him too.
she
Mhm.
did.
to me,
I'm
he kind of fell
lonely
in
and
love with
you're
all the
available.
women he encountered. He fell in love
He
Yeah,
with Miss
did.
Lily. He
Mhm.
fell
yeah.
in
Right.
He
love
was
with
looking
the
for love.
sister.
He
Now
was.
Miss them, the doctor. So he just,
Right, right.
But
yeah.
did you notice too with Adam's siblings that except for the daughter, the sons had moved away, like out of the state. So
Right.
Exactly.
they
He
were
Nobody
did that
still
stayed
in a
on
there.
sense
to get
working for the
away.
father, but he didn't control them like
Right.
he.
Right, right.
Correct.
He,
And
yeah.
Adam didn't really want to go home either.
Oh,
You know,
no.
so
No, he didn't.
Mhm.
there was a lot of dysfunction in that family. I want
Hmm.
to add something about Buck. We know Buck was big because if you could hit a grown man 2 times, punch him twice, and knock his
And
lights out and he's
yeah,
dead, you are some kind of
Mhm.
strong. So I picture him as this like big Hulk guy, but also a guy with quiet charisma. I bet you he was handsome. They didn't talk about that, but I'm sure
No.
he was a nice
Mhm.
looking man because all the
That's why the
ladies
doctor
like.
went after him.
Mhm.
Okay, so Buck got set up to be the sheriff on there. I think the father, Mr. Hagman, what do they call him? King Charles
Hmm.
on
Yes.
there,
Charles.
Hmm.
knew that the sheriff wasn't going to last long. That was there. And what did you think about the minute he came in? The sheriff said, "Oh, I'll be back," and never came back. He was gone.
Well,
I go ahead, Sam.
I was just going to say the sheriff knew that once he got that note from Madam Peachtree, he knew exactly who the note was from, and he was trying to just get away because he had no means to pay her back, but he was smart enough, and it never said how he got her book.
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
They
Mhm.
never
He
covered how he got
he
that
got
book.
he it never said how he got the book. So, but
Right.
he had all the dirt on her.
Hmm.
Yes, yes.
And
And everybody
everybody
was getting
else.
paid. He was getting paid too
Yes,
to turn his
everybody was
back.
getting
Yeah,
paid.
everybody was getting paid on there. And so she sent the guys to kill the current sheriff. You know, you knew that was her with the note.
Hmm.
And then Buck had to take on his debt, which wasn't a good thing.
Not for her, it wasn't.
I said, boy, she had a lot of nerve, boy. She was,
I
Right.
know.
She didn't know who she was dealing with. He could not be
I
hmm
know.
she
intimidated
didn't.
or
Yeah.
bullied. Hmm.
But I think Adam's father knew everything that was going on in the town. And
Hmm.
Yes.
he knew everything. And he probably knew that there was a lot of corruption and that Madam Peachtree was one of the biggest, the ringleader of some
Right.
of the corruption in the town.
Right. Hmm.
Right.
Well, you
I
remember
was,
he even told Adam that I've been watching you. I've known everything you've been doing ever since you left here. So
Right,
Hmm.
exactly.
his reach was far.
Uh-huh.
It
And that's
was.
why Adam wanted to go home because he said, I'll be safe there. I know where we can go and we'll be safe.
That's right.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I was disappointed that Adam's first choice, and I guess it's in character, was to want to take over Madame Pinochet's business. You know,
Yes. I was
Hmm.
he wanted
disappointed
to have
too.
he wanted to be the big crime boss.
Hmm.
You
Right.
know, and Buck didn't want that, but he didn't really care either. Like, you do your thing. I'm not going to be a part of that. But I was disappointed. Like, come on, man, you've been, you know, haven't you learned anything yet?
No.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, and he
Mm-mm.
never will, right?
Yeah. Because to me, he was kind of straightening up as he was going,
I
and
Yes.
then at
Hmm.
twist, I want to be the crime boss. I was like, oh no,
yeah.
on there. And uh, Were you disappointed in the ending?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
was. I
I
was.
was mad.
Well, I was disappointed and then I wasn't because I'm thinking this is a continuation. This is a series. So
Right, right,
something else is going to happen. I don't know
right.
what until I read the rest of the series.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so
I
that
like
just may have been a segue into what's to come.
next. Yeah, I
I
think it
guess.
was. I like happy endings, and so that wasn't a happy ending
Tied up in a
on
bow.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They came
I
back
like
alive and ready to set up for the next book, like you said, Sam.
right.
Exactly.
The story with the
Yeah,
doctor.
I was mostly agree with so disappointed in Adam at the end.
Right.
I knew he was up to no good when he wouldn't tell Buck what was in the ledger. He just because he could read French, so he just took the
Right.
Yes.
ledger and got
Yes.
all the secrets and started using it against the people. I said, "Oh, this boy has not changed."
But I'm
And
really surprised that Buck let him keep it.
Yeah.
That was surprising to me. Why would you let him? You know how he is. You knew he was a snake.
Mm.
So why would you let him keep it?
I
But
didn't
he
think he
had
wanted to
already
fight him.
shown Buck that he could be trusted, though.
That's it, right.
Well, but he went in there to steal the receipt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't get that either. Why he let that go so easily, Buck.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think because he had saved his life, he didn't want to. He knew he would have to fight him, and when Buck fights, somebody dies. So yeah, he probably didn't want to kill him.
But see, now he was in this other town where this other guy had control, and he had like 20 guys waiting
In
to,
Laramie, yeah,
right.
in
So
Laramie,
maybe Buck said, I'm gonna cut my losses right here
right.
and wait until I get Adam back into the name of
Blackstone.
it. What's the name of that town?
Blackstone was
Blackstone.
Blackstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what his thinking was, but we'll find out in the next book
Mhm.
probably.
And maybe
Yeah.
he said he because he kept wondering after he lost the job with the Pinkertons, and maybe he said Blackstone gave him a sense of stability,
It
possibility
did.
of a relationship with this young lady.
Yes.
He had a job, so maybe he saw stability in Blackstone. So he was
Hmm.
able. He was well. I'll just overlook crazy Adam. He'll do something to. I'll deal with him later. But right now, I think he was looking for that stability, that peace, not
Right.
having to wander from town to town and
Mhm.
So I think he just wanted a little bit of stability.
Exactly, because that's a lonely life.
It
Yes.
Mhm.
is. It
But
is.
how does that happen in the next book? I mean, I wonder because it seemed like everywhere he went, people were dying. He
Yeah.
couldn't
Yes.
settle down anywhere.
Yes.
He was going to be challenged because he was a big guy, and it just seemed like wow. Well, how is anybody left?
Yeah.
Just like the rifleman, every week he was killing
Every
somebody.
week,
They're
and he was
killing
dying
somebody.
Every week.
Exactly.
I said they should have did an episode when everybody he killed came back as a ghost and visit him one night.
That's called
Now,
a Christmas
one
Carol.
thing that I thought
There
about,
you go, Sam.
one thing that I thought about throughout this book was what we're dealing with today. Are we going back to that time where everybody's killing everybody, or
Mm-hmm.
No law and no order.
Right.
exactly.
Where people just take, because back then people just took the law into their own hands.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right.
You had a sheriff to try to keep the peace, but it wasn't a big deal. It's like if somebody did you wrong, an eye for an eye. You just went out and took
Exactly.
care
And
of
you
it.
and everyone said, "Oh well, he shouldn't have done." They
Correct.
were fighting
Mhm.
and like when he killed the guy at the very beginning in Miss Lily's place, I mean,
Yes.
like there was no questioning it. Oh yeah, well, that's what happens when you do that. Like,
Mhm.
really, boy, life is cheap.
Yeah.
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 One of the other things about the book that was interesting to me, and this just goes back, and I don't remember the doctor's name, is that she was a doctor and a mortician, but
Yeah.
it said nothing about any training. She just kind of
She
learned it and became the
From
doctor
her
by
husband,
default.
Her
right?
husband
Well,
taught
she
her.
learned it from her husband.
But
Yeah,
she
her
was
husband
already a
taught her.
doctor, wasn't she?
No, she
No.
had no medical
No
training.
medical training.
Uh-uh.
Okay.
She learned it from her husband.
And she
Okay.
became the town doctor because the
Right.
other one died off.
Right.
Right.
And
And
yet,
I just thought that that was kind of interesting also. You know, she learned how to take care of animals from her husband also. I think that was
Yeah.
the big thing.
Yeah. She was a veterinarian also.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that was kind of common though, that the doctor was the mortician. I think I've
Hmm.
read that in other
Mhm.
books too.
Right.
Oh,
I know. I guess they're the only ones who didn't mind a dead body. I don't
I
know.
Right.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
And they knew the
So he win
anatomy of the
anyway. I can
body.
keep them alive and make money. They die, I'm still gonna
I
make
know.
money.
Right. There you
That's right.
go.
Win-win.
Somebody's got to do it.
Okay. Um, how do you think the author kept your interest in this book throughout the
Oh
book?
yeah. From page
Yes.
1.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There was
First
enough shooting and
chapter.
killing going on to keep your interest and see
Right.
who was next.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I thought was really, really cool is when they were on their way to take the madam and the other guy to
Hmm.
Laramie, that they weren't, pounced upon or anything, because I thought for sure,
Mm.
it was going to be a shootout and
Mhm.
bodies
That's
along
why
the
they went
trail,
through the
but they
woods.
kind of, yeah, but they
Well,
kind of
they
snuck in the back way.
Yeah.
well,
Yes.
that was because of Adam,
Yeah.
Adam, yep,
Hmm.
Adam,
yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You knew a different way.
right,
because
That
they
was,
were
he was,
looking for them to come through the front door,
right.
but
Right.
they came through the back.
Mm-hmm.
but Adam knew that because he was familiar with the area.
Right.
Mhm,
Buck would
mhm.
not have known that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And then everybody in Laramie was on the take also. So
Yes.
Right.
it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I think
I know.
that's why Buck didn't make a big deal when he found out that Adam had crossed him, because he knew where he was and what he was up against. So he just said, "I'm gonna cut my losses and get on back to Blackstone."
Yeah, and
Especially
Adam.
when he came out talking about he was with that Lucian or whatever it was,
Hmm.
Lucian Clay, I think his name was.
Oh
He's like, "Oh, I
yeah.
have business with
Right.
him." Why you
Mm-hmm.
got business with him?
Right.
Because he had read the book and he knew who was on the take.
That's
Uh-huh.
true.
Hmm.
That's
Yes.
true.
You're right.
That's true.
But,
And
you
Buck
know,
was lucky that the doctor, she knew French and she
Uh-huh.
Yes.
saw the
Hmm.
book because he would have never
Yes.
figured it out
Right.
if she hadn't seen the book on there. So he was very lucky.
but back in Blackstone, there were other people who wanted Buck to be successful because they wanted to
Right,
clean
Hmm.
up
Hmm.
Yes.
the
Yes.
merchants and and the doctor,
right.
of course. So I guess by and large, the people we were introduced to were the worst part of the community, and there were some good people too.
That's right.
And how'd you like that? They had avenues.
Yeah.
Right.
The town was in the shape of an E.
Right, and they had
I love that.
avenues. The streets, the side streets were avenues on
Yes.
there.
Hmm.
That was funny. And everybody kept saying, "Why is it an avenue?" On there. Okay, well, I don't have any other questions unless, any of you have a final statement
Well,
on there.
I do. I just want to say that I started this book thinking, oh, another Western, and it's not going to catch my attention, and it's not good. And I was pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
Hmm.
Turned out really, really interesting, and it kept me going the whole time I was going through the book.
Yeah.
Good.
Exactly.
I
It
started
was a
thinking this
good
book is
read.
right now, but I
Yes,
Hmm.
got
it
where I
was.
really wanted to know what was happening with Buck next. I mean, I
I
really
know, I
Yes.
I can't
know.
wait till tonight and find out what's happening.
Yeah, read one of the other books, I know,
Yeah.
on there to find out the true ending of it,
Right.
If he survives in that town, I don't know. Or the other people survive in that town.
Well, if
Hmm.
there's several other books, he survives for at least a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct, because he's the main character.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes, he is.
They
Well,
can't
that's what I
kill
said.
him
Well,
off.
the other people in town, they might have not survive on there.
Exactly. And him and Adam are frenemies. I think they decided that they were going
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
more friends and enemies,
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. They were just going to be frenemies.
Right.
I just hope that remember how Buck would tell Adam, he said, I don't care what you do, but I'm the law. And if you guys break the law,
Mhm.
you're gonna be arrested. So I hope he sticks to his guns with that.
I think he will.
I
I
think
think
so
So
he
too.
will.
opium wasn't illegal then?
No, it
I
No,
wasn't
guess not.
illegal.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I was kind of shocked when they said that because I'm thinking
But
like,
Yeah.
alcohol
man,
was, wasn't it?
no.
Yes.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
No, it
Alcohol
was
was?
yeah,
opium. It
because
was opium.
it was 1876, whatever it was,
Right,
and I just was shocked that they had an opium den in Wyoming.
right.
Yeah.
But they kept saying it wasn't illegal.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
It
I
was
have this
frowned upon, but not illegal because they
Right.
had it in the back. So they must
Mhm.
have known that it was some type of narcotic that wasn't necessarily good.
Or that people who got
Yes,
involved with it,
right.
that wasn't a good sign of their character or their work ethic or anything because they were going to be
Right,
Mm.
addicted, you know.
right. And then what was the judge in Blackstone? He was a drunkard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
everybody had problems.
They have their
Yes.
vices.
Yes,
And
yes,
and I
they
think
did.
Lady Peachtree, she owned everybody that was of any kind of influence in that town. She owned them.
Right.
Mhm.
The mayor, the judge, the sheriff, you know. That's why the merchants were so happy to see Buck come into the
Correct.
Mhm.
Right,
scene.
right,
Exactly.
right. Thank you,
Awesome.
ladies.
Thank
Thank
you,
Well,
Zadie.
you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate
Good
your
job.
book, North of Laramie. It was a hit.
Thank you.
Two
I
thumbs
Awesome.
want
up.
to add. I want to add one thing. I had to look it up from Vivian's book. Remember when the the whole wagon train was killed except for the kids, and the
Right.
aunt sent the Pinkerton guy Adam to try and find the kids and bring them back.
Uh,
That's that. I knew
Okay,
it.
you remember? That's right.
Now I can't remember nothing else, but I remembered that.
the
That's
Well,
right.
thank
Pinkertons.
That's
you,
right. You were
Harriet.
right.
I'm glad you remember that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for a phenomenal book club, Zadie.
Mm.